Back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed's.
And we are doing baseball history.
That's right. We're a bi-weekly baseball history podcast where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is out on the mound throwing them.
And that is messed up.
That is a poor metaphor, but we're just going to move right past that and pretend like it never happened.
All right.
Yeah.
And I get to pitch today.
Yeah, you get to pitch today. I get to sit back. I told you a story last week, so I get to strap on the tools of ignorance this fortnight and just chill. And apparently, I'm going to have my feet up for a while.
Yes.
Because you said for this season finale of 2024, it is going to be a long one.
It's a double episode.
Yeah?
Instead of a two-parter, we just said, fuck it.
You're going in big time.
We're going big time. So normally we try to keep it under an hour. Normally between 40 to 50 minutes. Sometimes it goes longer, but this is going to be a long one.
So this may take you a couple days of commuting to work and back to listen to.
Oh,
what
yeah.
You're saying.
Yeah, this could be and I'll give everybody maybe the heads up when it's a good part to stop it if you can't commit to the full episode. But we're going to be strapping in for a while here. Before we do that, maybe it's a good idea to grab yourself a beer. And our favorite beer on this podcast is Two Loons Brewing. You can check them out at twoloonsbrewing.com. They have a great IPA, great lager, fantastic guys making great beer. Check them out if you're in Ontario at your local LCBO or beer location, wherever you get beer. Just ask for Two Loons. Wherever you get beer.
Places now, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many places to get beer. Ask them for Two Loons. And maybe you'll see it there.
And maybe you'll enjoy responsibly and, of course, be of legal drinking age.
Amazing. We also have social media. If you want to follow us, check us out on Doing Baseball on any platform, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter. We'll be on there. And thank you so much for listening. It's the off season if you're listening to this when it came out. So tell your friends. We'll be back in January, but we're baseball history. It's timeless. So
yeah, that's right. Well, are you ready to throw your pitch today there, Sean? What kind of pitch have you got for us?
I actually didn't think about this, but I got a bit of a sermon today.
You have a sermon?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, as we alluded to before, you're probably going into extras, so
let's do it. William Ashley Sunday was born near Ames, Iowa on November 19th, 1862.
All right. Bill Sunday.
Billy fucking Sunday.
Okay. 1862?
1862.
All right. So it's old.
Yeah.
It's an old guy.
So as you've already said, he'd be known as Billy.
Uh-huh.
He was the third son of Mary Jane and William Sunday. But sadly, Billy would be the youngest because his father would enlist in the Union Army in August 1862 and died of a pneumonia a month after Billy was born. And
of a pneumonia?
Yeah, at a camp,
Yeah.
Civil War.
Yeah.
There was lots of sickness.
Just to clarify the pronunciation there, it sounded like you said an ammonia.
Probably
like a gas, like he died of like a gas poisoning.
No, that's another 50 years.
Okay.
No, he just died of pneumonia.
He got sick.
He got
fluid
sick.
in his lungs.
Yes, and died at at Camp Patterson in Missouri.
Okay.
So Billy's grandfather owned a large farm with 2 mills just outside of Ames, and that's where he would grow up for a little bit. It was uncertain he would make it through infancy, though, at first. He was a small baby that failed to put on weight. And a neighbor described an old French doctor coming to his assistance and prescribing the young Sunday with some herbal remedies that did the trick.
All right. I mean, they did that sometimes back then. The snake oil salesman to come by and fix you up. And
there you go. Just feed him like 8 times a day and rub this root on him.
you feed him boiled frogs and he'll be set to go.
Yeah. So Mary Jane Sunday marries again. Her second husband is a drunkard, and he, has a kid or two with her and deserts the family. Her daughter with him dies in a bonfire accident.
Excuse me? A bonfire accident.
Yeah, you can see how, a child bonfire, not great. This is
feels not. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much, but that seems maybe not that accident. How old was the child?
I don't know per se, but probably like 4 or 5, maybe.
Okay. Maybe
like
could be an accident.
Yeah.
So still, either way, that's fucking terrible.
Terrible. And life's not easy for the Sunday family, even though they have this mill or whatever. From a young age, Billy and his brothers worked at his grandfather's sugar mill and farm, but his grandpa also sucked. He would later say, and I quote, "My poor dear old grandfather used to drink so much and abuse me, and when sober he would feel so sad about it."
Okay. Maybe don't drink then, Grandpa. I don't know. It feels pretty bad when I get drunk and beat the shit out of my grandpa, or my grandson.
Yeah.
So better get the whiskey.
What can we do about this?
Yeah. Nothing.
So the family falls on hard times, and his mother makes a decision with all like the grandpa abuse and stuff, and she sends William and his older brother to a soldier's orphan home in Glenwood, Iowa, thinking it would provide him with a better life. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I get the sentiment, but like I feel like that's hindsight's 20/20, my friend. But that's those don't. History hasn't shown that those were great places to send your children.
Yeah, I definitely. Doesn't sound like it was perfect. Okay. Definitely, and it would close. The first one he goes to closes a short time after. He gets transferred to one in Davenport, Iowa, which actually sounded like an upgrade. And the boys were trained in hygienes, manners, and religion. More specifically, the Jesus one.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So he also received a real education, and like most schools, Billy had a chance to participate in games and athletics, including baseball.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, it's not a perfect, I'm sure there's lots of problems at these homes, but he gets fed, and he gets taught about hygiene and doesn't get beat by his grandpa, so...
Gets beat by the priests and the nuns.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but he gets an education out of the beating and stuff.
Yeah. You get something for it, I guess.
Yeah, so, but at 14, he returns back to his grandfather's farm. And
it's like I've been working out while I was at the orphanage, Grandpa.
Well, he definitely has a backbone now. He has learned a little bit. And besides the drunken abuse, it sounds like he got along with his grandpa.
Okay.
But when he asked Billy and his brother to carry a neck yoke to the field, I guess they were doing some plowing, in the transportation of said yoke, by no fault of theirs, according to Billy, the yoke broke, and the grandfather was like, "Fucking goddamn stupid kids and breaking everything." And so he's scolding them, and Billy just decides right then and there he's done.
Okay, yeah.
So literally the next morning, he's a teenager. He moves to nearby Nevada, Iowa. He goes and enrolls.
2 places you have never been.
Yeah, 100%. Good callback to someone. Yeah. I've been to a lot of states. Yeah. These 2? No. So he enrolled in Nevada High School in Iowa and found a job because, of course, he's like 15 and on his own.
Yeah.
So he finds a job at a hotel as a utility boy, which provided him with room and board. So
okay,
he's going to high school. He's living in a hotel in exchange for doing work around the hotel. Mm-hmm. So this is where baseball...
What's wrong with the hotel?
I think it's a fine hotel. Probably some abuse there, too. Yeah. Anyways, this is where baseball comes into play. He plays for the local Nevada team, and it sounded like track, though, was his forte.
Okay.
He ran...
Speedy guy?
Yeah, he ran in regional foot races, and he earns a reputation for his speed. During his senior year in high school at age 18, a running team in Marshallton, Iowa, recruited Sunday, and he moved there to compete with them. So he's doing the Iowa circuit as a kid.
So he got recruited to join a running team?
Yes.
So he moved his whole life to go, all right.
To another small-ass Iowa town. Right. So he's lived in
probably makes sense for the time.
Yeah, 6 Iowa places at this point. Iowa fans out there, we love you. So now, just like so many of our stories, there's a catalyst, and the move to Marshallton may be the catalyst to this story. There's a few if you've listened to this story so far, but Marshallton was the home of Adrian Cap Anson.
Oh. Okay.
He's
not very nice, right?
No, we're going to do an episode on him one day.
Yeah.
To Billy Sunday, he is a father figure.
Okay.
And he happens to also be player manager of the Chicago White Stockings in 1881 when Sunday moved to Marshallton.
Okay.
So the Chicago White Stockings are not the Chicago White Sox. In fact, they're the Cubs.
Yes.
Just so everybody knows on that. And say it just is a great coincidence. So Sunday is on this running team, but he also joins the local baseball team. And his skills on the field were clearly above average, and his speed was fucking blazing.
Mm-hmm. That's the Marshallton team.
Yes.
Okay.
In the fall of 1882, Marshallton beat a stronger Des Moines team 15-6. Sunday played left field and hit 3 doubles, scoring 4 runs in the win.
All right, that's impressive.
Yeah. Sunday would later say, Cap had Aunt Emma there, and she was greatly interested in seeing me progress in baseball. She praised my playing to Anson and told him I was about the fastest fielder on earth and insisted he give me a chance with Chicago, and he agreed.
Who's Aunt Emma?
It's Cap's wife? Cap Anson's wife. Aunt.
Cap Anson's aunt?
Yeah, literally his aunt.
She owns the team?
No, she's just a fucking person.
that Cap Anson values her opinion. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Imagine your aunt was like, go check out this baseball player. You'd be excited.
I guess. Is my aunt good at scouting ball players? I don't know if she is. Cap Anson's aunt obviously was, I guess.
She was not.
Oh. Okay.
He is fucking fast. I'll give him that.
All right.
But I'm going to take him down a little bit.
Right.
This is the takedown episode. No, I'm kidding. Anson was only able to watch Sunday compete in a foot race, and that was all he needed to extend a visit or an invite to spring training 1883.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if this was the foot race that he competed in, but definitely when he got to spring training, either in 1883, I think, but one account said 1884, it could have been wrong, he has a 100-yard dash race against Fred Pfeffer, who was the team's second baseman at the time and known as one of the fastest players in baseball. So he gets to spring training, and right away Cap Anson's like, "You're racing, Fred."
Okay. Heard you're fast.
Yeah.
It's time to prove it.
Aunt Emma told me you were fast.
Yeah.
Go race Pfeffer.
I brought this horse.
Yeah. So Pfeffer's a very good runner, but Sunday won the race easily in bare feet.
Oh, okay. Even more impressive. Did the other guy run in bare feet? Or?
No, he had cleats on. He had baseball shoes, they called it.
Added that extra stipulation for it? Was that Anson's idea?
No, Sunday showed up and he was like, I'm going to go to the store and buy some shoes. But
they're like, no, race right now. He's like, all right,
he wins. So despite some flaws in his game, his speed was enough for Anson to offer him a spot on the team and take the young man under his wing. But Eds, despite what you may read, and even what some people truly thought at the time probably, Sunday wasn't good.
Okay. You said that.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not bad. Like, let me just add, off the start, He's not good, but this would be like 130 years later, me doing a fucking podcast on Miles Straw or like Jake Marisnick. Like,
Okay.
he is a fourth outfielder at best.
Right. Right.
So, anyways, Sunday makes his debut on May 22nd, 1883, and strikes out 4 times by grasshopper Jim Whitney of Boston.
Okay. So not very good.
Depending on what source you listen to, he either struck out 7 times in a row, or he struck out 7 times before recording his first hit. Either way,
that's not great.
not great. He would only play in 14 games for the White Stockings that year, and he would collect 13 hits, including four doubles, 18 strikeouts in just 55 plate appearances. In the field, he made 10 putouts and 6 errors, playing mainly right field.
Okay.
Somebody beeping.
Yeah, what is going on outside?
So, they don't have gloves.
No.
Just remember that while we talk about his career. And he makes another thing I hold against him is his errors, but he doesn't have a glove, so we got to give him that.
Okay.
Still, he was just 20 years old, extremely projectable, and his speed was what Anson wanted more than anything. Sunday, as we will talk about, had some huge seasons stealing bases, but Baseball Reference does not have any stolen base data before 1886. So we don't know how.
So we don't know what happened before then.
Yeah, so his first 4 years, no idea of his stolen base totals.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the slow start, the Cubs offered Sunday another contract for 1884, and this time Sunday had a spectacular spring training.
Nice.
At just 21, Sunday served as the 4th outfielder for the White Stockings, playing both right field and center. Most of his batting stats went down despite 180 at-bats in 1884. He hit just 222 and did show off a little bit of power with 9 extra base hits, which did include 4 home runs, but despite this, he would sport a OPS plus of 71.
Okay. So not very good.
Yeah, and I want to
30%.
I want to
below
actually.
average.
There is a hilarious. It could even be a story itself, but there's a hilarious context for the difference between 1883 and 1884. So in 1883, the 4 home runs that Sunday hit for the White Stockings would have led the White Stockings. It would have been tied, I believe. But in 1884, the rules were changed at the White Stockings home park to make fair balls hit over the fence at Lakefront Park into home runs instead of ground rule doubles. The dimensions of the park were a minuscule 300 feet to center field and less than 200 feet down either line. Because 7 of the top 10 home run hitters in 1884 were White Stockings, and the team went from hitting 13 home runs total in 1883 to 142
I was gonna say, like,
in 1884.
So basically what you're saying is 1883, a home run was a double?
At their specific park.
At their park.
Yeah.
What a shitty ground rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then they changed
it, and they're like, had this little bandbox like fucking place where they could just golf it over the fence.
Yeah, they've changed this back immediately after.
Yeah. To doubles though?
I think so. Well, and but that's the thing.
They just move the fence.
Yeah, at this time, 4 home runs is like a lot of home runs. But if you take it in context that actually it wasn't, considering the difference between 84. Anyway, so Sunday still, he doesn't have his best year. He makes 27 errors in 43 games in the outfield, but somehow Sunday was still the apple of his manager's eye. Cap Anson considered Sunday reliable enough to make him the team's business manager, which included such duties as handling the ticket receipts and paying the team's travel expenses. Probably because although Sunday could not catch a ball, he was not drunk all the time like the rest of his teammates.
All right, well, he's got that going for him.
Yeah. So the White Stockings, even though I guess they bash all these home runs, but they still suck. They finished 5th in 1884 in the NL. And both the manager, Cap Anson, and the owner, friend of the show, Albert G. Spalding.
Oh,
They blame the players drinking and partying for the team's poor performance.
And let me guess, he paid them less.
Probably.
Yeah, no doubt. Or fined them.
Well, yes. Well, in Anson enacts a strict training regimen for his players. And Sunday, although hitting .222 with 27 errors in almost as many games, he gets another contract.
They're like, well, you did good for you, Bill, so...
You weren't drinking.
Yeah.
Nearly as much as him. He drinks a bit.
Yeah.
He drinks a bit.
Yeah.
There's definitely some legendary drunks on this team. There's King Kelly.
Number one.
Yeah. But Sunday claimed to abstain from partying with his teammates despite going out with them. He would go out.
Okay. I have one beer.
Yeah. Well, he would say, I would take lemonade and sarsaparilla.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but...
Well, it's like a root. It's kind of root beery. It's kind of good, kind of bad. Depends on your taste. Okay. But you know what lemonade is. Either way,
I do know what that is.
This is the dude that goes to a bar and orders a lemonade.
Yeah, okay. I'll have a glass of milk.
And maybe this is a good time to also caveat this, that this is also a persona. You'll get to it. By the time we wrap up here, some of this, I did my best to parse through the bullshit, but a lot of this is a persona, or at least a public persona, that was self-made in later years. So he could have been drunk at this time and just was just like, no, I just drank lemonade.
Yeah.
But from most evidence, I would say, either way.
He's probably hanging out and doing the same things.
So in his autobiography, Billy Sunday would say, I never drank much, but I was never drunk but 4 times in my life. I never drank whiskey or beer, never liked either. I drank wine.
All right.
So maybe he orders a wine or a lemonade. Either way, he's not partying like King Kelly.
Right. No one's partying like King Kelly.
Absolutely. We're going to do that episode one day. And we'll get back to the abstaining from alcohol eventually. So 1885, the White Stockings were fucking dominant. I guess Anson got the rest of the players in line, or they were just perfectly buzzed throughout the whole season, because they went 87-25 and won.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
when you started with 87, I was like, oh, that's not that great. But then, yeah, much shorter season back then.
That's actually maybe an October episode. It's a great pennant race. They only beat out the Giants by like a game and a half.
Really?
But the third place team is 30 games back.
Oh my God. It's not even fun for anyone else. I've been in men's leagues like that.
Yeah. There's just 2 teams dominating the league. So Sunday was once again a 4th outfielder, but he could steal bases, and we kind of know about it now, not now, but next year. He steals bases. In late August of that year, Anson would schedule a race between Sunday and professional sprinter. Sunday ran the 100 yards in 10 seconds, beating the professional by nearly 3 feet.
Why?
I don't. Anson just was like, we're making a race, another race.
All right. That's pretty impressive, though. He did it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1885, 10 seconds. Like, they don't have a laser.
I guess so, but still, man.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the fastest people at that point.
Oh, I have no doubt he was probably... Because all of his early days, it wasn't... he was good at baseball, but it was the sprinting that got him on the team in Marshalltown. Anyways.
Just like Forrest Gump getting on Alabama.
There you go.
Yeah.
So on the field, he hits 256 with just 8 extra base hits in 46 games and 184 plate appearances. But he would get his chance to shine on a play against the St. Louis Browns, winners of the American Association pennant. So they get to play in a U.S. Championship Series because the White Stockings win the NL and the St. Louis Browns win the American Association. And Sunday is really good in the series. Despite being a backup, George Gore was reportedly caught drinking at the end of the season, and after a lackluster performance in the first game of the series, he was suspended. So Sunday
steps in because he's only drinking lemonade.
Yeah. He's playing center. He's batting second in the lineup. Sunday performed at his best when the metaphorical lights were brightest. He hit .273 with 2 doubles and scored 5 runs in 5 games.
That's good.
The series would end in a 3-3-1 tie, and it was crazy.
What?
This is another absolutely an episode one day. So he plays amazingly. He steps in, he plays amazingly, gets another contract. After the World Series, Sunday would race Arlie Latham, the third baseman for the St. Louis Browns and the fastest runner in the American Association. Sunday won handedly.
They should do that again.
Oh my God.
Have like a tournament all season long.
Oh yeah.
It's like an elimination tournament where guys face off against each other so they have matchups.
Imagine like Billy Hamilton versus Gerard Dyson like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That would
what
be.
I'm saying.
Oh, I'd watch that.
And then you get that dude from Atlanta that like the Freeze. You know that guy? He could join in there.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a marketing genius. Tootsie Rolls, call me up.
So after the World Series, in quotation marks, Sunday, I already did that. He races against Latham. He apparently that race he was 10.25 seconds.
Okay. Still damn good.
Yep. Even with the races in baseball, Sunday worked in the off season. He was a railway fireman back in Iowa.
All right.
And
it's give you strong arms from shoveling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't use his legs, but, gets the upper body going in the off season.
Yeah.
So in 1886, he would once again, or the Chicago would once again dominate the NL and take on the Browns in a Kind-O World Series. Sunday's role this time around would be greatly diminished due to an eye infection that he got in August. At 23, he got just 110 plate appearances that year. He hit .243 with 4 extra base hits and another 71 OPS plus showing.
Not so good.
No. But it didn't matter.
He got train soot in his eye or something in the off season.
Yeah.
Fucked him up.
So it didn't matter what Sunday was hitting on the field, though, Edsy, because it's what Sunday wanted to hit off the field that is important to this story.
I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Sunday had begun attending church services and a youth group meetings at the Jefferson Presbyterian Church in Chicago, where he met Helen Amelia Nell Thompson.
Okay. Helen Thompson.
She was a devout young woman whose father was a successful Chicago businessman.
All right.
Do you understand the metaphor now?
Yes.
Sex.
Yes. I gotcha.
So, it seems...
And money.
Yes.
Maybe.
It seems as though they met at church, right? And Sunday, in his telling of his story, right, he meets her at church. He is already dipping his toe into the Christianity. He's already exploring Christianity. He's joined the church, and he meets her. But I kind of can't take that at face value, because it kind of sounds like he was stalking her at first.
Okay.
Because he would later creepily say, she was a Presbyterian, so I'm a Presbyterian. Had she been a Catholic, I would have been a Catholic, because I was hot on the trail of Nell.
All right. I mean, that is creepy.
Very creepy.
Sounds pretty standard at the time, though, I'm afraid.
Well, Edsy, by the time you get to the end of this story, you're going to be like, what the fuck?
Okay. Carry on.
Sunday would tell...
Sounds like I regret saying that.
No, it's just absolutely mind-boggling if this was his whole thing to become a Christian, was just to sleep with this or to marry this woman. It's absolutely wild.
Okay.
So Sunday would tell a little bit of a different version later in the Washington Times, stating that his conversion came on a night out on the town with his teammates. He happened past a group singing hymns, and immediately the hand of God was upon him. Instead of continuing to the next bar, he joined the singers at the church that evening.
Okay. I mean, like, I've heard people sing good, too. And I've, like, never been like, that's the hand of God. I mean, it makes me think, like, that's why people think that's the hand of God, but I never take it so literally. Anyway, that's just my experience. I don't know why I'm digressing into this.
Just walking
right
down, you hear U2.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm Catholic now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Never thought about it that way.
God, that harmony sounds very Presbyterian to me. Okay, carry on.
Jesus. We could keep going with that.
No.
Check out this Buddhist beat.
Yeah.
Now I should say, we're getting into it. Yeah, so I already said this. Like, take anything Sunday says with a little bit of a grain of salt. So was he, like, stalking this girl and, like, followed her to church? Or did he, out on the town with his drunken teammates, be like, the hand of God touched me by these hymns?
Yeah.
Regardless of how it happened, by the end of the summer, Billy Sunday, unlike a majority of baseball players at the time, was regarded as a clean-living Christian churchgoer. Following his conversion to Christianity, Sunday denounced drinking, swearing, and gambling.
Mm-hmm. Lemonade's the way to go. Okay.
He was worried about his teammates, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, they're going to make fun of me. But they support him. And his drunken, haggard comrades on the White Stockings, including King Kelly himself, are like, yeah, whatever, man. Be a good Christian.
We're like, we've heard those songs too. They're great.
I also like them. Yeah. Made me want whiskey.
Yeah. I too like the Eagles.
So, Nell's father does not approve still of baseball players.
Okay.
Because once again, if you're new to this podcast, baseball players in the 1800s is not a respectable job.
No, they're like burly, manly, drunk, crazy men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of being...
Which is like what the baseball people want.
Yeah.
But they do not want you.
Yes.
They do not want them near the general public.
And so Sundays does everything he can to prove himself to be not a ruffian baseballer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Over the winter, he writes Nell. He's working on the railroad.
All the live long day.
He did at night. And during the holidays, he comes and he visits. He's like, all right. So Spaulding, who definitely wanted Sunday to bang his daughter, decided that King
Albert
Kelly...
G. Spaulding?
Yes. I don't know if he had kids, but he would have had no problem with Sunday.
Well, he did have that illegitimate son. Spalding G. Spaulding, remember?
Yeah, I forgot about Spalding G.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I should have listened to that in preparation.
Anyway.
So Spaulding would definitely... He wanted Sunday... So he loves Sunday, but he hates King Kelly. Because King Kelly drinks too much.
Yeah, he's like,
so he sells...
beer is much more expensive than lemonade.
So he sells King Kelly to the Boston Bean Eaters, despite King Kelly being the White Stockings' best player and having OPS'd over 1,000 in 1886.
$10,000, I believe.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
But Spaulding had someone just as good. Billy Sunday.
Okay. No.
No.
He's not that good. He just drinks lemonade.
So with King gone, the White Stockings, of course, dropped to third place in 1887. And Sunday actually put together a decent season out of nowhere. Not nearly as good as King Kelly. He did hit 291.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Kelly hit 388 the year before. But he gets an ankle injury in June.
Who does?
Sunday.
Oh shit. Okay.
Despite the injury, in 50 games that year, he also stole 34 bases and finally figured out how to walk. And at 24...
Well, he has to walk. His ankle's broken.
Fuck off. At 24, he looked to be maturing at the plate, even though he was a little bit of a sieve in the outfield, committing 25 errors in 107 chances.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not good. But no gloves. Remember, no gloves.
Okay, yeah.
Off the field that season, Sunday had started really leaning into his last name. Now, there's a few Sabre articles on Sunday, and this one by Wendy Knickerbocker is one that I took this next quote from, and I quote: He started speaking to Sunday school classes and YMCA groups and regularly attended religious meetings, both in Chicago and on the road. It in early August that Sunday began going to the Pacific Garden Mission, an evangelical mission in Chicago. It was there that sometime in late summer or early fall, Sunday publicly dedicated his life to the service of Christ.
Okay.
So, in the book, The Real Billy Sunday, the author quotes a Chicago paper as saying, and I quote, "Center fielder Billy Sunday made a 3-base hit at Farewell Hall last night. There was no other way to express the success of his first appearance as an evangelist in Chicago. His audience was made up of about 500 men who didn't know much about his talents as a preacher, but could remember his galloping to second base with his cap in hand."
Okay. So they're going for his baseball history, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that guy.
You want to hear him talk about Jesus?
Yeah, let's go.
So in the same book, a New York paper is quoted as saying, and I quote, "If W.A. Sunday plays ball as well and as earnestly as he talked yesterday before a large body of young men in the hall of the YMCA, he ought to be in great demand among the rival clubs."
All right. So they think that because he preaches so good, other teams should want him to play for them?
I guess. Well, they're saying if he's really good at it. So they're like, if he's as good at baseball as he is at this.
I see.
But yeah, they're also saying like, well, this baseball player is like preaching. You know, maybe they want him instead of all the guy that stabbed that person.
Right, yeah. At least he's good or in that way.
Yes. And I will tell you, other clubs absolutely wanted him.
Okay.
Rival clubs were all over the Jesus-loving, sober-living, mediocre ball player, particularly the Pittsburgh Alleghenies. Okay. That off-season, Sunday was taking courses in elocution and rhetoric at Evanston Academy, part of Northwestern University in Chicago. Instead of tuition, he agreed to coach the university's baseball team during their winter practice sessions. But he's really learning, right? He's like really leading into it. He's learning elocution. And he's learning about how to talk and how to, give speeches and stuff like that. Yeah. And Sunday also finally pops the question to Nell on the night of January 1st, 1888. And later that month, as mentioned, the Pittsburgh Alleghenies purchased Sunday's contract. The Alleghenies had sucked and were looking for a competent, sober replacement for center field after having 5 players play at least 10 games at the position the year prior.
Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, I guess Sunday would make a sound replacement.
And really, he's fast, right?
Pray for a win, maybe.
Yeah,
and yeah, of course, he's fast.
Yeah, all of apparently all their center fielders were just too drunk to play for them the year before.
Like, I'm just gonna sit down here.
They're just like, you don't drink.
Shift. Nah,
just wobbling.
I'm just gonna lay.
So, unsurprisingly, just like many teams that put their trust in Sunday, the Alleghenies did not fare much better in 1888 with Sunday in the center field. He'd play 117 games in center. He would steal 71 bases and lead the team with 69 runs scored, but he hit just a paltry .236 in a career-high 519 plate appearances, but collected 17 extra base hits, forgets how to walk again, and his OPS is .532.
Ugh. I mean, the stolen bases was okay.
Yeah, and that's why everybody loves him, is because he's a fast center fielder.
Yeah.
And there's things at this time, there's a story he tells that I kind of, I was
sounds kind of, I mean, I don't know what his defense is like.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of Kevin Pillar-ish to me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He has, like, his years where he's better than other ones. And
then he's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, there's a story of, like, him, making great catches because he's a speedy outfielder. And,
Yeah.
There's like a Jesus one where he's like, well, it was 3-2 count and bases loaded, and they hit the ball and the crowd parted because it was like a roped in crowd in the outfield, and he made the catch while praying with his eyes closed. Anyways, it all comes, that's where we're going.
Right.
So this is also fucking insane. Did I mention the Alleghenies finished 6th in the NL, and yet another owner learned that getting rid of the drunk guys was not a recipe for success in 19th century baseball.
Uh-huh.
So somehow in that year, he had 15 RBIs in over 500 at-bats.
That's it.
How?
That's so few.
How?
I don't know, man.
How? Like, your team must suck.
Yeah.
How is no one on base for you?
Yeah.
How do you, and you suck.
Yeah.
You just, like, oh my God.
Can't explain that, buddy.
Yeah, and people were like, well, the great Billy Sunday is
Did
playing.
you see how fast he ran into the dugout off the field?
Yeah, not that RBIs are a great stat, but how?
Yeah. No clutch. No clutch. The clutch is right out of that one.
So off the field, his reputation is amazing. He attends a local Presbyterian church in Pittsburgh. He teaches Sunday school, and and in September he left the team to marry Nell in Chicago. In the off season, Sunday continued his studies at Northwestern and took Bible classes at the Chicago YMCA. Eventually, the YMCA offered Sunday a job, and Sunday accepted a part-time position. So no more like shoveling coal in the off-season. Now he's, coaching Northwestern and doing this. He's making enough money now. Mm-hmm. And he continues his hold religious meetings at the Pittsburgh YMCA when he returns in the spring. And as the season went on, he spoke at the YMCA in most of the cities that he would go to on the road. One Sunday in Pittsburgh, Billy was asked to lead Sunday school class of young men. At once, the boys were thrilled to be in the presence of a pro baseball player and began to immediately ask questions about baseball instead of the Bible. Sunday kind of kept the class on track by kind of sternly but politely saying, and I quote, "Fellows, if you'll come around to the hotel where I'm stopping tomorrow, I'll be glad to tell you all I can about baseball. But I can't today. This is God's day, and I am to do his work the best I know how.
Here's a lemonade.
Come to my hotel."
Yeah.
So, on the field, Sunday was moved over to right field from center. He struggled with injury throughout the 1889 season, including being out for 2 weeks after injuring his thumb on opening day. He would also miss a month being treated for a carbuncle on his hip. I meant to look this up. I didn't.
What is a carbuncle?
Spell it exactly how you think, except there's a C instead of a K. Carbuncle.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking it's like a cyst, maybe? I don't know.
You carry on. I'll look it up.
So once again, Sunday hits 240 with 47 stolen bases in 81 games.
It's a severe abscess or multiple boil in the skin, typically infected with Staphylococcus bacteria.
Damn.
That's pretty heavy.
He was playing with Staphylococcus, clearly.
Yeah.
Now, seeing how it's 1889, you can guess what might come next. Sunday joined the Brotherhood Baseball Association, or he had joined the Brotherhood of Baseball Players back in the fall of 1887. Yeah, Union. And in 1889, he was the vice president of the Pittsburgh branch. Despite this, he flip-flopped all winter on which Pittsburgh team to sign with, whether he stayed with the Alleghenies or he signed with the Brotherhood team in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And
what did he do?
He picked the Alleghenies.
Oh.
And that was a bad choice because he was one of just a few players who did that. He was named team captain because they're like, you're the only one left.
Yeah.
Captain.
Here's a free lemonade.
Sunday, he would have a rebound year, but he was also his last as a ball player. In 86 games, he hit 257 with 56 stolen bases. And he had no power, but he could clearly still fly at 27 years old. Pittsburgh was terrible, though, and would go fucking 23-113.
Oh.
So
that's
bad.
Sick.
Sunday did not have to suffer through the whole thing, though, because he got traded to Philadelphia on August 22nd, and he tears it the fuck up with the Phillies. 31 games, he collects 31 hits, and he steals 28 bases.
Okay.
Yep. And the Phillies were like, heck yeah, giving you a contract for $18.91. But also, more players started coming from the Players League after it folded.
Yeah.
Remember that. So, it wasn't guaranteed that he would have playing time with Philadelphia. And he's 28 years old. And as I mentioned, he can steal bases, but he's like a 230 to 250 hitter that has no power. He returns to his role at the YMCA in the wintertime, and then the YMCA offers him the position of assistant secretary of the religious department, a full-time job.
Okay. I mean, then that's got to be pretty enticing for someone in his position.
Yeah, and it pays egregiously less than the Phillies. I think the Phillies
Really?
were offering $3,000 for the season, and this job pays like $85 a month.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, big pay cut. About a third, more than a third.
Yes.
Sunday turned down the initial offer from the YMCA, but then he began to seriously consider leaving baseball for good. He didn't want to abandon his team, but with the collapse of the Players League and so many other players looking for jobs, it made it just easier, I guess, for him to just say fuck it. Mm-hmm. Finally, he definitely didn't say fuck it. He was like, Christ is leading me.
Yeah.
Finally, after much thought, on March 1891, Sunday obtained his release from Philadelphia before turning down an offer from Cincinnati after the fact. He retired from baseball at 28 to devote his life to God. He turned down $3,500. I had $3,500 written here for a job at the YMCA that paid less than $1,000 a year.
Okay.
So, he wrote a letter to Colonel John Rogers, who I believe is the owner of the club, the Philadelphia Club. I accept the release kindly offered by the Philadelphia Club, and in the future I will devote my attention to the position providentially offered to me as Assistant Secretary of the YMCA Chicago. I intend to make this my life work. I have permanently retired from the diamond.
All right. So he's going in to do God's work.
And he had a brief, but as I say, blah kind of baseball career. 8 years in the National League. He compiled 3 Baseball Reference WAR in 499 games. Mm-hmm. So, he's a backup.
Yeah.
He had 246 recorded stolen bases and a lifetime 248 batting average with an on-base percentage of 300. So yeah, Kevin Pillar.
Yeah.
Baby, Kevin Pillar has more power.
Yeah.
And this is the point in the podcast where if you can't commit, we're getting into a lot of non-baseball stuff after this. So this is where I wish this podcast ended, is he just quit and he worked for the YMCA and then no one fucking heard from him again. The end.
But that's not what happened?
That's not. You ever seen The Righteous Gemstones?
Yes.
Oh, buddy.
That's what I was worried we were going to go in that direction.
Oh, we're going in that direction.
Okay.
So Sunday joined the Jefferson Park Presbyterian Church, where he was elected as an elder, and from 1891 to 1893, Sunday was the assistant secretary of the Young Men's Christian Association in Chicago. But in 1893, Sunday becomes the full-time assistant to one J. Wilbur Chapman, one of the best-known evangelists in the United States at the time.
Okay.
So his job is to, like, go ahead. You know, they do rallies and the big, like...
Okay, he's like the hype man that goes beforehand?
Well, no, he goes, well, eventually, but yes, before, he's literally going days ahead.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like to promote the
Yes.
fact that the guy's coming.
100%.
Yes.
So he's the advance man. He's going to the cities ahead of the time to preach and to organize prayer meetings and choirs and take care of all the necessary details. So he learns all about it. So Sunday's traveling around with this preacher, and as we know, he had already started doing some preaching himself. He soon became more than just a pre-show organizer. In 1896, Sunday started on his own, and for the next 12 years, Sunday preached for approximately 7 communities, most of them in Iowa and Illinois. Sunday referred to these towns as the kerosene circuit, because unlike Chicago, most did not have electricity.
Okay.
So,
That's what I figured.
he's back to his roots in rural Iowa.
Okay.
So he's doing this, and he's in tents and churches, but mainly tents. And he's a new kind of preacher. He's preaching to rural poor folks, and he's got some pizzazz to him that most preachers were a little reserved. And stand before God And Billy is, first of all, a former baseball player.
Yeah, so he's got that pedigree.
And his sensationalism was shocking to some, but exciting to others.
Mm-hmm.
He would work...
Get all my speed for the Lord.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to throw a fastball at the devil.
Yeah.
And the great umpire in the sky shall deem me safe.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the kind
That's
of
good
shit.
preaching.
Yeah. People loved it. And by 1905, he had his own advance man going into different cities to set up, and money started coming in. So this is a good time, or good for him. But what exactly was he preaching? Like so
That
many
is the question.
famous megachurch preachers, was he righteous, or was it all just a show?
Uh-huh.
One reporter of the period
It can be both, I think.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure some of these people very much believe what they're preaching, but also say things to get money.
Okay.
It can be both.
Yeah.
So one reporter of the period indicated that he preached the divine wrath rather than the divine love.
Oh, okay. That's not so good.
No. Another indicated that he preached a crude version of the ultra-conservative evangelical theory of the mid-19th century.
That sounds further.
Yeah, not good.
Not good.
In my favorite quote from an article, this is from a 1980 article in the Baseball Research Journal from Sabre. It has a journalist saying, and I quote, "He outrages every rule of church decorum and slaps in the face all our traditions of dignity and reverence and worship. He stops in the middle of a prayer to command some enthusiastic brother waxing too loud with amens to shut up. But not for a moment is he a clown, much less a mountebank."
A what?
I don't know. A mountebank? I looked it up, I'm pretty sure. But it's basically saying he's taken seriously, even though he might seem like a moron. And I don't know anybody that... What is the... Sorry, I'm looking up this word because I have to know what it means, because I know I looked it up and now I just forget it. Mountebank meaning is a person who deceives others, especially in order to trick them out of their money.
Okay.
So charlatan.
Yes.
So he continues to get bigger and bigger, but people still remember his baseball days, of course. In 1907 in Fairfield, Ohio, Sunday organized local businesses into two baseball teams, and he scheduled a game between them. Sunday came dressed in his professional uniform and played on both teams. Right. I don't know how. He gave an interview and opinions about baseball to the press, he frequently umpired minor league games and amateur games in cities where he would do his revivals.
All right.
So he's still hanging with the baseball.
He's leaning on that.
Yeah, and baseball is his primary means of publicity. But Sunday would also do other stunts, including hiring a circus giant to serve as an usher.
A circus giant?
Yes, fucking...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So 1906...
I was just going to ask what year.
Yeah. 1906, somewhere in there. An October snowstorm in Salida, Colorado destroys Sunday's preaching tent. And it's a special disaster because revivalists were typically paid with a free will offering at the end of meetings. Thereafter, he insisted that the town build him wooden tabernacles at their expense if he wanted him to preach.
Jesus. All right.
He's like, my tent got fucked.
So build me a goddamn stage.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So from now on, he's like,
you want the word of God? Build me a stage for it.
Yeah. He's like, no more tents.
Okay.
So he's moving up, and he's making other people pay for it.
Yeah. As you do, I guess.
1908, Nell would take the reins and make her husband into a national figure. He began to tour bigger and bigger places, and over the next decade, Sunday moved from a tent or a wooden tabernacle into stadiums and arenas.
All right.
They had four...
Seems to be the progression.
They had 4 kids at this point. 3 boys and a girl. The children were left to be raised by a nanny while they were out on the road doing their preaching. You'll see how that ends up.
Okay.
It's righteous gemstones.
Yeah.
It was a whole business operation, and Nellie was the business manager. He had a choir and several other staff members, and apparently a giant, and continued to grow along with the crowd. So he kept getting more and more people. On top of Billy's controversial, boisterous style, he even read headlines for other reasons as well. In February 1909, in Springfield, Illinois, a man named Sherman Potts attacked Sunday with a horsewhip as he stood in the pulpit after opening remarks while a hymn played.
Jesus Christ.
Sunday fought with his assailant and eventually, with help from the crowd, as the choir continued to sing the hymn, beat the man.
The show must go on.
Yeah, they detained this man and police. The man had been institutionalized previously and said that he attacked Sunday in defense of the virtue of a woman which he declared had been criticized by Sunday.
Okay. He was defending her honor.
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay. So he's taken out of there.
Yeah. By the 1910s, he was Sunday was spreading the word of God, but also making a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Effectively making more than the average man would make in 3 months with just one sermon.
Jesus.
Yeah. Just like well. Jesus wanted, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he's preaching almost every day, and between 1908 and 1920, the Sundays earned over $1 million, and that would be $31 million in today's money.
Holy moly!
The average worker during the same period of time earned less than $14,000.
God damn!
So over that whole period, not just a year. So yeah, once again, just like Jesus wanted, you got the word of God, and you get $31 million. He became a big star, and even got to meet the stars.
Oh, I thought you were going to say even got to meet Jesus.
Oh, we get to that.
Okay.
During a 1917...
Get ahead of yourself now.
Yeah, a lot of people get to meet Jesus before we're done here.
Okay.
I told you it ends bad.
Oh, fuck.
So during a 1917 West Coast campaign in LA, the Sundays visited with the Hollywood Stars, and members of Sunday's organization played a charity baseball game against a team of showbiz personalities, which included Douglas Fairbanks Sr. The movie stars won 1-0, and that's the most boring softball game I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And Sunday jokingly...
Nobody gets hits? Like, what the fuck? It's like the easiest game to score runs ever.
Sunday jokingly complained that his team could not get a break from the umpires, who were Mary Pickford and Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
So by the New York campaign, this is in April 1917, the Sundays had a paid staff of 26. His shows were even more produced and ridiculous. There was music, but also Sunday had surpassed anything seen by a Christian preacher before. When Sunday felt the moment was right, he would launch into his message. Sunday gyrated, stood on the pulpit, ran from one end of the platform to the other, and he's fast, and then dove across the stage, pretending to slide into home plate, and sometimes even smashed chairs to emphasize his point.
Oh my God, that sounds fucking insane.
As cool as that sounds, he's yelling about sins and sexuality, and especially alcohol, which he was like not cool with.
No alcohol, drink this lemonade.
Yeah. And remember, it's 1917, so this is the lead up to Prohibition.
Right.
So all of a sudden, this guy that's screaming about the evils of alcohol is like filling stadiums around the country.
Right.
So this is, I'm not going to say he directly influenced Prohibition, but he definitely had an influence.
He's at very least capitalizing on the train of thought throughout the country.
Well, and I will say, remember, he got his ass kicked by a drunk grandpa, so it might be a genuine.
True.
And his mom's husband. Anyways, so let's get into his critics.
All right.
Because there were lots of critics, just like there's critics for Christian preachers nowadays. So Frederick William Betts, no relation to Mookie, as far as I know. I should have looked that up. And I quote, "A friend says that Mr. Sunday's sermon on the sex question was raw and disgusting. He also heard the famous sermons on amusement and booze. He says that all in all, they were the ugliest, nastiest, most disgusting addresses he ever listened to from a religious platform or a preacher of religion. He saw people carried out who had fainted under the awful definition of sensuality and deprivation, or depravity. Sorry."
Okay.
Fuck.
I got you. So that critic is basically saying it's a smut show, but he's like describing it as, he's disguising
Anti-sex.
it as like anti-sex.
He's like, "We will not let the whores take our penises in their mouths and slowly."
Exactly.
But no, he's saying things that are, he's being a sensationalist, right?
Yeah.
Just the same as a comedian or even a preacher nowadays might get these kind of headlines because they're being a little bit over the top and saying words or describing things that no one has ever heard from a religious preacher before. Mm-hmm. And he's also a millionaire at this point.
Yes.
And he's drawing crowds of tens of thousands of regular folks across the country, though. And some of them are, he starts rubbing shoulders with the elite. His critics start calling him a tool of big business, which he is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Poet Carl Sandburg called him out in the May 1915 issue of Metropolitan magazine, saying, and I quote, "You've come along squirting words at us, shaking your fist and calling us all damn fools, so fierce and the froth slobbers all over your lips, always blabbering, we're all going to hell straight off, and you know all about it. Go ahead and bust all the chairs you want. Smash a whole wagon load of furniture at every performance. Turn 60-something somersaults and stand on your nutty head. If it wasn't for the way you scare the women and kids, I'd feel sorry for you and pass the hat. I like to watch all good four flushers at work, but not when he starts people puking and calling for the doctors."
All right. In other words, great show, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, just being, well, these are other men of God, just being like, you know what, like, you're just like saying a bunch of bullshit and breaking stuff and making people faint. Like, what the fuck? You're not really doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
And there's other interests involved here. There is a Reverend William A. Wasson. He says to a room of 500 at the Wine Growers Association dinner in New York, who definitely would have hated him because they're wine growers. He calls...
Well, he liked wine a little bit.
He did. They don't know that.
Four times he liked wine.
But he wouldn't have... He just a little bit. No.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. After calling his sermons a circus, he said, and I quote, "He is called a true leader, but he only shows evidence of religious insanity. His converts believe they have found religion, but really they have just lost their mental balance. The best I can say of Billy Sunday and his methods or his religion is that they are dead level with Billy Sunday himself. To my mind, he is a very cheap and vulgar sensationalist."
All right. Harsh words.
Yeah. And everyone's like, yeah, we're winemakers. So Sunday had lots of critics, but he also had very powerful friends. Sunday dined with numerous politicians, including Presidents Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson. He also counted Herbert Hoover and John D. Rockefeller Jr. as friends.
All right. Those are about as powerful friends as you could have.
Yeah, why are people calling him a tool of big business?
Yeah.
So he, of course, got involved with politics, and he was a passionate supporter of America entering World War I. Mm-hmm. After war was declared, Sunday saw the high point of his evangelical career with 68,000 converts meeting in New York City in April 1917.
Holy.
And they raised $60,000, which went to the Red Cross.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
I'm sure he pocketed some. Anyways, 1918, he said, I quote, "I tell you, it is Kaiser Bill against Woodrow, Germany against America, heaven against hell."
All right. Hyperbole sells, I guess.
Yeah. Also, surprise, surprise, he was for alcohol prohibition. Already got to that a little bit. Sunday's most famous sermon was "Get on the Water Wagon."
All right.
Past lemonade at this point.
Yeah. All right. He's really downgraded. Want anything that mixes good.
He said, and I quote, "I am the sworn, eternal, and uncompromising enemy of the liquor traffic. I have been and will go on fighting that damnable, dirty, rotten business with all the power at my command."
He's like the anti-Leahy.
Yeah. Very anti-Leahy.
Yeah.
He would also say that, and I quote, "Whiskey and beer are all right in their place, but their place is in hell."
Oh my God. It's like a blood vendetta.
Yeah, he's very much. I mean, I kind of get it. Once again, his childhood.
Yeah.
And once again,
I mean, I don't drink, but
no, you don't.
Like, it's funny to me.
I
how,
do. We're sponsored by a brewery.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, But like how dead set he is against this, like he's out to kill alcohol.
Yeah. Well, and he went in, I think this is from, one of his things. He goes into a little bit more about his grandfather, and I quote, "Grandfather used to have periodic spells of several months apart when he drank liquor, but he never bought the liquor himself. He would get it from the bootleggers. You see, I began to hate booze in my youth, and as the years come and go, my hatred for the cursed business and the bootlegger increases. It was the same back in those early days. The bootlegger was the scourge of society, and it takes two to make a bootlegger: the fellow who sells the stuff and the one who buys it."
I guess that's true.
Very, very war on drugs of you, Billy Sunday.
Yeah.
So Sunday's politics did sometimes align with the working class. He was against child labor, and he did support women's suffrage. I didn't read into that too much, so he probably was on a scaled back version, but he was for not having kids working and women voting.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He even condemned monopolies in a sermon, saying, those who would not pick the pockets of one man with the fingers of their hand, but who would, without hesitation, pick the pockets of 80 million people with the fingers of their monopoly or commercial advantage."
Well, that's good too.
Yeah, this is kind of good.
Working class hero in those three regards, I suppose.
But we got a big butt coming in.
I figured we did.
Yep, he was against immigration from southern and eastern Europe.
Is it a dead arm poop butt?
No dead arm poop butts, but he was like, he didn't like Italians by the sound of it.
Okay.
didn't like them, and he was not for evolution. Not good. That was not true.
Well, I figured that was the case.
Yeah.
He's an evangelist.
Yeah, this is the big but. He regularly, throughout the 1920s, received contributions from members of the Second Ku Klux Klan. Sunday also proved he wasn't above taking money from both sides in the Jim Crow South. Sunday's Memphis campaign in February 1925 featured both a special night for African Americans as well as an unofficial Klan night. Oh, I know, isn't it bad?
Those are so... You ruined him. I mean, he wasn't great before. He had 3 redeeming things there, but he's fucked now.
Oh, I know.
Sorry, Billy.
In another instance, in 1927 in Bangor, Maine, Sunday's partner and music director, Homer Roadheaver, told Klansmen
That sounds like a man from Maine.
Yeah, I don't think he's from Maine. He's like he was Sunday's like guy. He was like the music guy, and like he's just a big part of it. I've read interviews.
I just picture
Homer Roadheaver.
Yeah, like I picture that guy being from Maine or somewhere in New England, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We could but Roadheaver told Klansmen who briefly interrupted the service that he did not believe that any organization that marched behind the cross of Christ and the American flag could be anything but a power for good.
Oh my God.
So he was like his right-hand man. He was like, don't interrupt him.
Don't worry about it. It's on fire. It's not a big deal. That's fucked up.
Well, Ed, it's also not a surprise that he was pandering to the Klan in 1927 because throughout the 1920s, his popularity had slowly dwindled. As you could have guessed it, his sons had engaged in many activities that he preached against. And the Sundays paid blackmail to several women, including their wives, to keep some of the scandals quiet.
Oh, my.
Very righteous gemstones. But things get really dark. And Sunday would lament, the great tragedy of my life is that though I have led thousands to Christ, my own sons are not saved.
Okay. What happened?
So George, Paul, and William Jr., all raised by a nanny, super rich, they have a very strained relationship with their father, and he carved out very little time for them in their formative years.
Right.
So that
seems that way.
Yeah, they're not very Christian. And he does not like that. So they have a strained relationship, all of them. And in 1930, Nora Lynn, who is the housekeeper and nanny, so basically raised the kids, member of the family, essentially, she dies. And then in 1932, their daughter also dies. She had a neurological disease. I think it was multiple sclerosis. Some of the newer ones have kind of diagnosed it as that. Back in some of the reporting, it's just a neurological disease.
Right.
So she dies young, and George, the oldest, he's arrested for drunkenness and auto theft, embarrassing his parents quite a big deal. And on top of bailing him out of jail, they had to bail him out of financial ruin as well. He would die falling out of a window of a hotel in what was suspected to be a suicide in 1933.
That's sad.
So in 3 years, they've lost like the nanny, their daughter,
and now their son,
and their oldest son.
Yeah.
In fact, all 3 of the Sunday sons would die violently.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
George would fall from a hotel window. Billy Jr. would die in an automobile crash after a night of partying in 1938, and Paul would die in an airplane crash during a test run in 1944.
Holy fuck. Yeah, well, you did say violently.
Yeah. Billy would only be alive to see George pass, though.
Oh.
In 1935, Sunday had a mild heart attack, and the doctor advised him to stay out of the pulpit. But Sunday ignored the advice and continued to preach his rousing sermons. He died on November 6, 1935, and was buried in the Forest Hill Cemetery in Chicago. The New York Times referred to him as the greatest high-pressure and mass conversion Christian preacher that America or the world has ever known. By Sunday's own estimation, he had preached nearly 20,000 sermons in his life, an average of 42 a month from 1896 to 1935.
Holy shit. That's busy, man.
Yeah. No wonder his sons were like,
yeah, no wonder he had no time for his sons, apparently. Well, not that he didn't have time. No wonder he made no time, obviously.
Yeah.
If he did 42 shows a month?
Yeah. So Nell Sunday would carry on her husband's work and lived long enough to speak at Billy Graham's evangelical crusades. So there's a direct from Billy Sunday to Billy Graham to modern Joel Osteen and all of that stuff. She frequently visited Bob Jones College as well. She got an honorary degree in 1940, and there's a residence hall at the Greenville campus named after her. Nell Sunday suffered from cataracts, heart attacks, and cancer in her later years, and in 1957 she died at 88. So that is a dark finish, and it gets darker because God hated him.
Who?
Billy Sunday. Like, play for the Phillies.
Okay.
No, I'm not kidding. This is fucking, to me, this is like a perfect example of like God's. You were like, I'm a mega preacher, I got super rich, and then like all of your kids die. Mm-hmm. And they had 3 grandchildren. The grandchildren in turn contracted 5 marriages that resulted somehow in only 1 great-grandchild.
Jesus.
The great-grandchild, Marquise Ashley Sunday, was killed by his lover in San Francisco in March 1982. Therefore, 50 years after his death, Billy Sunday has no living descendants.
Oh my God.
God,
that is curse.
Hey, God was like, you should have played for the Phillies.
Yeah. Oh man.
You like, I don't care how many converts you got. Holy, you like swindled people out of money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna erase your family.
Oh my God. What an assertion.
Well, and just, I mean, the irony, like Marquise Ashley Sunday, who is like actually, the name Marquise was one of the other, like one of Billy's sons was actually, they called him Marquise, even though it was one of his middle names. So Marquise Ashley Sunday, which is Billy Sunday, like, also the irony that your only living great-grandchild is a gay man.
Yeah.
As a Christian preacher. Mm-hmm. Like, mwah. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Yeah. Like, and I don't mean to make light of that. Like, he was a real person that got murdered. Yes. And it's very sad. Yeah. And, like, no matter what. But, like, oh my God. Like, it just felt like the whole family was just like doomed.
Yeah, that's a fucked up way to look at it, but yeah.
I don't know. That's what I took from this story.
No, I get where you're coming from. It is like, it does kind of appear that way when you look at it like that. That is sort of God's wrath, if you believe in that. But
I had no idea going into the story. I just thought it was about a dude that became a preacher.
Right.
I didn't realize how big of an influence he had. Yeah. And I also had no idea about his
you're
family
life. Still
life.
Seeing his influence today, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There is he is in the Christian Hall of Fame, which
that's
is
a weird thing.
That should just be heaven. That's heaven.
It's not just Jesus. Was he hold on, I got a question.
Okay.
I got a question.
I'll show you. I'm going to pull up his Christian Hall of Fame.
What was the first class?
I don't know.
Was Jesus in there?
I don't.
Jesus and Methuselah and I don't know all the religious figures.
I don't know. But you have
sing the first class. Is that him?
This is the Christian Hall of Fame.
Who's that guy?
That's Billy.
Oh, that's Billy Sunday right there.
Yeah, that's Billy in
William Ashley, Billy Sunday.
Yeah. So that's wild.
He looks crazy.
Yeah, he does. But like also the Christian Hall, like he didn't make the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So that is, I've been waiting to do Billy Sunday for a long time, and I didn't realize how dark it was going to get at the end there.
It did get really dark.
It did.
But it's a great story.
Well, and I really expected there to be other podcasts on this. There is a ton of Christian podcasts on Billy Sunday.
They probably don't talk about him in the same light that we just did.
Not at all.
They're like, Billy's awesome.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He converted so many people. How did he treat his sons?
Nothing bad happened else. Nothing else bad happened to Billy.
Oh, no. It was fine. Did you know he stole 42 bases?
Yeah.
In 1890 or 1886. Oh, God. Well, until next season, thank you so much for listening. I think I don't have anything more written down here. Yeah, no, just he should have played for the Phillies. That's it. But yeah, no, thanks so much for listening. Until next time, what's our internet handle now, Edsy?
Well, you can find us somewhere on the internet and our social medias, whether it's @doingbaseball or @doing.baseball. Try it on one of the platforms and you'll probably find us there.
There you go. And give us a review, give us a rating. It's the off season. We love baseball history. And the best part about it is it's timeless, so it can fill your void during these sad, sad baseball-less months. Thanks again. Shout out to Two Loons. Shout out to my family, Eds' family as well. We will see you in 2025. Until next time, I'm Sean.
And I'm Eds.
And we are doing the baseball.
Okay, bye.